The night sky over Seoul was clear and filled with stars. Commander Lee Jun stood on the rooftop of the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, looking up at the twinkling lights above. For most of his life, those stars had been just that, distant points of light. Now they represented something much more. "Beautiful night," said a voice behind him. Lee turned to see Dr. Kim Hana walking toward him, her tablet computer glowing in the darkness. "I used to wonder what was out there," Lee said. "Now I know, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing." 3 months ago, everything had changed. Massive ships had appeared in Earth's skies, hovering over major cities around the world. Panic had spread at first, but when the aliens made no aggressive moves, fear turned to curiosity. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Confederation. They claimed to represent over 300 different species from across the Milky Way. Their technology was far beyond anything humans had created. Their ships could travel faster than light. They had cured diseases that still plagued humanity. They offered to share some of this knowledge with Earth, but there was a price. "The council meeting starts in 20 minutes, Dr. Kim said. "They're expecting us to have an answer ready." Lee nodded. As one of Earth's top military commanders, he had been chosen to represent humanity's defense interests. Dr. Kim, with her brilliant mind for languages, had figured out how to communicate with the aliens faster than anyone thought possible. Together, they had become Earth's main contact points with the Confederation. "Do you think they'll accept our answer?" Lee asked. Dr. Kim shook her head. "I don't know. No one has ever told them no before." They took the elevator down to the underground meeting room where Earth's leaders had gathered. Representatives from every nation sat around a large circular table. At the head of the table was Chairwoman Park Sumi, the elected leader of the United Earth Council. "Commander Lee, Dr. Kim," Park said with a nod. "Please be seated. We will begin soon." The room fell silent as the doors opened again. 3 alien beings entered, each very different from the others. The leader was High Chancellor Acrix, a tall creature with 6 limbs and skin so thin you could see organs moving beneath it. Behind Acrix were 2 other aliens, one covered in blue fur with 4 eyes, and another that looked like a giant insect with shimmering wings. "Greetings, people of Earth," Acrix said, speaking through a translation device. "Have you considered our generous offer?" Chairwoman Park stood up. "We have, High Chancellor. The United Earth Council has reached a unanimous decision." Everyone in the room knew what that decision was. For 2 weeks, Earth's leaders had debated. The aliens wanted Earth to join their war against something called the Shar Dominion. They wanted human soldiers to fight battles across the stars. "Earth respectfully declines participation in your war," Park said firmly. "We offer friendship, trade, and cultural exchange. We are willing to learn from you and share what we know. But we will not send our people to die in a conflict we do not understand against an enemy we have never met." The room grew tense. The blue-furred alien whispered something to Acrix, who made a strange clicking sound with its mouth. "You misunderstand," Acrix said finally. "This is not a request. This is your purpose." Commander Lee stood up. "With respect, High Chancellor, Earth has chosen its path. We spent centuries fighting among ourselves. We nearly destroyed our own planet multiple times. We have finally achieved peace. We will not throw that away." "Fascinating," Acrix said, tilting its head. "In all our travels, we have never encountered a species that refused the honor of joining the Confederation's war effort. Your ancestors would be disappointed. We have studied your history. Humans are natural warriors." "We were," Dr. Kim said. "But we have evolved beyond that. We still maintain defenses, but only to protect, not to attack." The insect-like alien stepped forward, its wings vibrating with what seemed like anger. Acrix held up one of its 6 arms, stopping its companion. "Perhaps we were mistaken about humanity's potential," Acrix said. "We will return to our ships and consider your unusual response." The aliens left the room. Everyone could feel the tension in the air. "That didn't go well," Commander Lee said. Park sighed. "Did we expect it to?" They came across the stars looking for soldiers. We offered them poets and traders instead. What happens now? Asked a representative from Brazil. Lee looked at Dr. Kim, who had studied the aliens' language and culture more than anyone else. They didn't expect us to say no, she said. Their language doesn't even have a good way to express rejection of a superior's command. They see themselves as our superiors because their technology is more advanced. Will they accept our decision? Park asked. Dr. Kim shook her head. I don't know, but I think we should prepare for the possibility that they won't. For the next week, the alien ships remained in Earth's orbit. They sent no more messages. They made no threatening moves. But they didn't leave either. Commander Lee used this time to quietly strengthen Earth's defenses. Scientists studied the limited alien technology that had been shared during the initial friendly exchanges. Engineers worked to adapt some of these ideas to Earth's defense systems. 7 days after the meeting, Lee was awakened by an urgent call. Commander, the alien ships are moving, said the officer on duty. Lee rushed to the command center. On the main screen, he could see the massive Confederation vessels rising higher, moving away from Earth. Are they leaving? He asked. It appears. So, said the officer. They're accelerating toward the edge of our solar system. Dr. Kim arrived moments later, her eyes wide with worry. Do you think it's over? She asked Lee quietly. Lee watched as the alien ships grew smaller on the screen. Soon they would be just points of light again, indistinguishable from the stars. No, he said. I think it's just beginning. As if answering his thoughts, one of the alien ships suddenly changed direction. It fired a beam of energy toward Earth. For a moment, everyone in the command center held their breath, fearing an attack. But the beam wasn't a weapon. It was a message, projected into the sky above every major city on the planet. The same words appeared in every language. You have 3 months to reconsider. When we return, you will join us, or you will be replaced. The message faded. The alien ships disappeared into the darkness of space. 3 months, Lee said, looking at Dr. Kim. We have 3 months to prepare for war. Dr. Kim nodded, her face grim but determined. A war we didn't want. A war we tried to avoid. But a war we will fight, Lee finished. If we must. Around the world, humanity began to prepare for the return of the Galactic Confederation. Earth had refused to fight the galaxy's war. Now, it seemed the galaxy had decided to bring its war to Earth. 2 months had passed since the Galactic Confederation ships left Earth's orbit. The blue sky above Seoul looked peaceful, but Commander Lee Jun knew better. Somewhere out there, beyond the clouds, beyond the stars visible at night, the aliens were preparing to return. 1 month remained until their deadline. Lee sat in his office at the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, studying reports from around the world. Every nation was working together now, united by the common threat. Old enemies had put aside their differences. Earth was preparing for war as best it could. A soft knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. Enter, Lee called. Dr. Kim Hana walked in, carrying her ever-present tablet. Despite working long hours, she somehow managed to look fresh and alert. Any breakthroughs? Lee asked hopefully. Dr. Kim shook her head. We're making progress understanding their technology, but not fast enough. We still have no way to match their weapons or their ships, Lee sighed. Then we find another way to fight. Humans are good at that. A sudden beeping from his computer caught their attention. A call was coming in from the lunar base. Lee accepted it, and the face of Choi Day appeared on the screen. Choi was the chief technician at Earth's small colony on the moon. His usual, calm expression was replaced by worry. Commander Lee, we've detected something strange, Choi said without greeting. A small object in orbit around Earth. It wasn't there yesterday. A satellite? Lee asked. No, Choi replied. Its design doesn't match anything from Earth, and it's avoiding our scanning attempts by changing position whenever our sensors focus. On it, Lee and Dr. Kim exchanged concerned looks. Send me the data, Lee ordered. Minutes later, they were studying the images and sensor readings from the lunar base. The object was small, about the size of a car, and its metallic surface reflected sunlight in an unusual way. "It's a probe," Dr. Kim said after examining the data. "But it's not Confederation technology. The design is completely different." "Could it be from another alien group?" Lee asked. "Possibly," Dr. Kim replied. "Or maybe the Confederation has technology we haven't seen yet." "Commander," Choi's voice came through the speakers again. "The object is broadcasting something, a signal on frequencies we've never used." Dr. Kim immediately began typing on her tablet. "Send me the signal pattern, I might be able to analyze it." While Dr. Kim worked, Lee alerted Earth's defense network. Within an hour, military bases around the world were on high alert. Fighter jets took to the skies even though everyone knew they would be useless against advanced alien technology. "I've got something," Dr. Kim announced suddenly. "The signal isn't using Confederation communication protocols. It's completely different. And it's not directed at us. It's broadcasting outward toward deep space." "It's reporting back to someone," Lee realized. "But who?" His question was answered sooner than expected. Alarms blared throughout the building. Lee rushed to the command center with Dr. Kim close behind. "What's happening?" he demanded as he entered the large room filled with screens and busy personnel. "Something just appeared near the moon," an officer reported. "It came out of nowhere. 1 second there was nothing, and then, on the main screen they could see it. A ship, but unlike the sleek rounded vessels of the Confederation. This one was dark and jagged, covered in what looked like plates of armor. It reminded Lee of ancient battle tanks or the shells of certain sea creatures. "It's massive," Dr. Kim whispered. "Almost as big as the Confederation command ship." The strange ship moved toward the small probe, ignoring the lunar base completely. Then, without warning, it fired a pulse of energy that destroyed the probe in a flash of light. Every screen in the command center flickered, then displayed the same image, a being unlike any they had seen before. It had a humanoid shape but was covered in what appeared to be natural armor plates. Its face was flat with 3 eyes arranged in a triangle pattern. When it spoke, its voice was deep and resonant. "Humans of Earth, we are the Shar Dominion." The room fell silent. The Shar Dominion, the enemy the Confederation had been fighting for centuries. "We have intercepted Confederation communications regarding your refusal to join their war effort. This action has drawn our attention to your world." The alien paused, its 3 eyes blinking in sequence. "The probe you detected was Confederation technology. They have been monitoring your preparations. We have destroyed it as a gesture of good faith." Lee and Dr. Kim exchanged glances. "This was unexpected. We come with a warning," the Shar continued. "The Confederation does not accept rejection. They will return with force. They will not ask for your cooperation again. They will demand it." The alien's voice grew more intense. "For millennia, they have forced species across the galaxy to fight in a war that is not theirs. We were once like you. We refused to join their conflict. They responded by attacking our homeworld. Millions died before we surrendered." The command center remained silent, everyone watching with a mixture of fear and fascination. "We eventually broke free from their control. Others have done the same. That is why they seek new species, new soldiers to replace those they have lost." The alien leaned closer to whatever was recording its image. "Prepare yourselves, humans. The Confederation will not be stopped by your current defenses. They have conquered worlds far more advanced than yours. But there may be ways to resist that they do not expect. Ways we can help you discover." The image flickered. "We will contact you again when it is safe. Be wary of any Confederation offers of peace or technology. They will try to trick you before they attack." With that, the transmission ended. On the main screen, they could see the Shar ship turning away from Earth, then disappearing in a flash of light, jumping to faster-than-light speed. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then everyone began talking at once. "Quiet," Lee shouted, and the room fell silent again. "Get me Chairwoman Park, now." Within minutes, Park's face appeared on a screen. She had already been briefed on what happened. So now we know, Park said, grimly. The Confederation wasn't being truthful about the Shar. They lied about many things, it seems, Dr. Kim added. The question is, can we trust the Shar instead? We can't trust anyone, Lee said firmly. But we can use this information. The Shar destroyed a spy probe we didn't even know was there. That suggests they have better technology than we thought, and they've offered to help us resist the Confederation. Potential ally? Park asked. Or another enemy trying to use us for their own purposes, Lee replied. But either way, we now know more than we did before. The Confederation is coming back with force, just as we feared. And they won't be asking for volunteers anymore. How long do we have? Park asked. The Confederation said 3 months, Lee reminded her. It's been 2, so 1 month if they keep their word. And if they don't? Lee looked at the empty space on the screen where the Shar ship had been. Then they could return at any time. Around the world, the news of the Shar contact spread quickly. Some people saw hope in this new development. Others saw only more danger. But everyone agreed on one thing. Earth was now caught between 2 powerful alien forces, both with their own agendas. Preparations for defense accelerated. Old military bases were reactivated. New weapons were designed based on what little they understood of alien technology. And everyone watched the skies, wondering which aliens would return first, the Confederation they had refused, or the Shar, who had offered help. 1 month, Lee said to Dr. Kim as they left the command center. 1 month to prepare for a war against enemies with technology centuries beyond ours. Dr. Kim's expression was determined. Then we'd better get to work. 3 weeks had passed since the Shar Dominion's warning. The deadline set by the Galactic Confederation was only days away. Across Earth, people looked to the skies with fear and uncertainty. Commander Lee Jun stood at the window of the war, room in Seoul, watching rain fall on the city below. The streets were quieter than normal. Many people had moved to underground shelters just in case. Others carried on with their daily lives, refusing to hide. Commander, a young officer called, from behind him. We have a situation. Lee turned. What is it? A Confederation ship has appeared in orbit. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. They say they want to talk. Lee hurried to the command center, where Dr. Kim Hana was already analyzing the incoming transmission. It's definitely them, she confirmed. A diplomatic vessel much smaller than their warships. They're requesting permission to land and meet with Earth's leaders. It could be a trap, Lee said. It could be, Dr. Kim agreed. But what if it's not? What if they've reconsidered? We should at least hear what they have to say. After a quick conference with Chairwoman Park and other world leaders, they decided to allow the Confederation ship to land, but with strict security measures. The landing site was set up in an open field far from any major city. Armed forces surrounded the area, though everyone knew their weapons would be useless against advanced alien technology. The Confederation ship descended from the clouds, sleek and silver, much smaller than the massive vessels that had visited Earth before. It landed gently on the prepared pad and a door slid open in its side. 3 aliens emerged. They looked similar to the ones they had met before, but the leader was different. This one called itself Sub-Chancellor Varric, a slender being with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Greetings, people of Earth, Varric said through a translation device. We appreciate your willingness to meet with us again. Chairwoman Park stepped forward, with Commander Lee and Dr. Kim at her sides. Why have you returned before the deadline? Park asked directly. Varric's skin rippled with blue and green patterns. Recent events have caused us to reconsider our approach. We understand that you were contacted by the Shar Dominion. Lee tensed. So the Confederation knew about that meeting. We have, Park admitted. They had interesting things to say about your war. No doubt they painted themselves as victims, Varric said. The Shar are masters of deception. They twist truth to serve their purposes. And you don't? Lee asked. Varric turned to face him. We have been direct with you from the beginning. Perhaps too direct. We understand now that humans value choice. We respect that. So you're no longer demanding that we join your war? Dr. Kim asked, her voice skeptical. We still believe that cooperation would benefit both our peoples, Varric replied, but we will not force it. Instead, we offer friendship and protection. Park crossed her arms. Protection from what? From the Shar, Varric said simply. They contacted you not out of concern for your welfare, but because they see you as potential allies against us. If you refuse them, they will attack you just as they have attacked hundreds of other worlds. The alien reached into a pouch at its side and pulled out a small glowing sphere. As a gesture of goodwill, we offer this defensive shield technology. Once activated, it will create an energy field around your planet that will repel any Shar attack. It requires no maintenance and will function for decades. Dr. Kim stepped forward, studying the sphere with interest. May I? Varric handed her the device. Of course. We want you to examine it thoroughly. Trust must be earned. The meeting continued for another hour. The Confederation representatives answered questions, made promises of peaceful exchange, and repeatedly warned about the dangers the Shar posed. When they departed, they left behind the shield device for Earth scientists to study. Back at the defense headquarters, Dr. Kim led a team of scientists in analyzing the alien technology. They worked through the night, scanning it, trying to understand its components and purpose. At dawn, Dr. Kim burst into Commander Lee's office, her face pale with worry. It's not a shield, she said without greeting. It's a weapon. Against us. Lee sat up straight. Explain. Dr. Kim placed her tablet on his desk, showing complex diagrams and readings. It's a planetary dampening field. If activated, it would create an energy pattern that interferes with electronic systems, but only human-made ones. It would shut down our weapons, our communications, our defenses, everything, but not Confederation technology, Lee realized. Exactly. They're trying to leave us defenseless. Lee immediately called an emergency meeting with Chairwoman Park and the Defense Council. As they gathered, reports began coming in from space monitoring stations around the world. Multiple objects entering Earth's atmosphere, an officer announced. Small, fast-moving, they're avoiding our detection grids. The diplomatic ship was a distraction, Lee said grimly. While we focused on their representatives and their fake shield, they were positioning their real forces. Park turned to him, her expression hard. What are your orders, Commander? Full global alert. Activate all defense systems, and get that dampening device as far from Earth as possible. Send it to the lunar base for now. The room erupted into activity as orders were relayed worldwide. On screens around the room, they could see the first reports of attacks. Precision strikes against military bases and defense installations. They're targeting our command centers and weapons systems, Lee observed. They want to cripple our ability to fight back. Dr. Kim watched the screens with horror. They never intended to accept our refusal. This was their plan all along. Suddenly, the main screen flickered, and Sub-Chancellor Varric's face appeared. People of Earth, the alien said, its skin now pulsing with red and orange patterns. You have refused the honor of joining the Confederation. You have listened to the lies of the Shar. Now you will learn what happens to those who stand against us. The transmission ended. Around the world, reports of attacks multiplied. Confederation dropships landed in strategic locations. Their forces began to move inward from coastal areas toward population centers. In the command center, Lee made a difficult decision. We need to disperse our remaining forces. Conventional defense won't work against their technology. We need to switch to guerrilla tactics, small mobile units, hit-and-run attacks. You're talking about giving up our cities, Park said. Temporarily, Lee replied. We can't win a direct confrontation. Not yet. We need time to understand their weaknesses, to adapt. The people will resist, Dr. Kim said. Lee nodded. Yes, that's our advantage. The Confederation thinks in terms of armies and governments, but humans fight in many ways, not just soldiers, but ordinary people defending their homes. As they spoke, the attacks intensified. The Confederation forces moved with precision and overwhelming technology. Earth's conventional military defenses crumbled quickly, but they soon discovered something unexpected. Humans did not surrender easily. For every military base that fell, a dozen resistance groups formed. For every advanced weapon the aliens deployed, humans found creative ways to counter it. They could not match the Confederation's firepower, but they excelled at adaptation and unpredictability. Lee established a new command center in the Baekdu mountain complex, deep underground where the alien sensors had trouble penetrating. From there, he coordinated what remained of Earth's formal military response while also supporting the growing resistance movements. "This won't be a quick war," he told Dr. Kim as they watched reports come in from around the world. "The Confederation expected us to fall quickly, to surrender when faced with superior technology." "They don't understand humans very well," Dr. Kim replied, a hint of grim pride in her voice. "No," Lee agreed. "That may be our greatest advantage." The deception had failed. The Confederation had started their war. Now Earth would show them what it meant to fight humans on their home ground. 2 months had passed since the Confederation invasion began. Winter had settled over the Korean peninsula, bringing snow and bitter cold. Commander Lee Jun saw this as an advantage. The aliens came from warmer worlds and struggled in Earth's harsher climates. The Baekdu mountain complex had become the main headquarters for Earth's resistance. Deep underground, protected by layers of rock, it was one of the few places safe from Confederation scanners. Here, Lee coordinated what remained of the world's military forces, now operating as small, independent units. Dr. Kim Hana had set up her laboratory in an adjoining chamber. Day and night, she worked with her team to understand Confederation technology. They had managed to capture several alien weapons and communication devices during skirmishes. "I think I've found something," Dr. Kim said as she entered the command center. Despite the difficult conditions, her eyes were bright with excitement. "The neural networks in their battle armor have a weakness." Lee looked up from the maps he was studying. "What kind of weakness?" "They're vulnerable to specific electromagnetic pulses," she explained. "Not the broad-spectrum kind we used to use, but precisely targeted ones. If we can generate the right frequency, we can disrupt their systems temporarily." "How temporarily?" "A few minutes at most. But in battle, that could be enough." Lee nodded. This was the kind of small advantage they needed. The Confederation had better weapons, better ships, better everything. But humans were finding ways to even the odds bit by bit. "There's something else," Dr. Kim continued. "Their soldiers rely heavily on central command. The more we disrupt their communication networks, the less effective they become. Almost like they don't know how to think independently." This matched reports from the field. Confederation forces were devastating when following their battle plans. But when those plans were disrupted, they often became confused, unable to adapt quickly to changing situations. "Get this information to our field units," Lee ordered, "and work with engineering to develop portable pulse generators." As Dr. Kim left, Choi Dae entered the command center. Once the chief technician at the lunar base, he now led a team specialized in tracking Confederation movements and communications. His knowledge of their scanning capabilities had proved invaluable. "We've intercepted some interesting transmissions," Choi said. "The Confederation forces are having trouble maintaining control in several regions, not just because of our resistance, but because of internal problems." "What kind of internal problems?" Lee asked. "Disagreements between different alien species. Some of their soldiers are questioning orders. It's not widespread yet, but it's growing." This was surprising news. The Confederation had always appeared completely unified. "Keep monitoring," Lee instructed. "If there are cracks in their alliance, we need to know about it." Later that day, Lee joined a raid on a small Confederation outpost near the coast. He tried to participate in field operations when possible, both to gather first-hand information and to boost morale. Soldiers fought harder when they saw their commander sharing the same risks. The raid was a success. They captured supplies, weapons, and most importantly, a small Confederation scout ship mostly intact. It was quickly transported to a hidden facility where Dr. Kim and her team could examine it. The next morning, Choi Dae burst into Lee's office, his usually calm face animated with excitement. "Commander, you need to see this immediately." Lee followed him to the analysis lab where Dr. Kim was already waiting. On a large screen, they could see the internal systems of the captured scout ship. "We've been analyzing the navigation system," Choi explained, "and we found something unexpected in their logs and command protocols." Dr. Kim pointed to complex diagrams on the screen. "The Confederation isn't a united force like they claim. They're actually a collection of different species that are being forced to fight through technological control." "What do you mean, forced?" Lee asked. "Look at this," she said, zooming in on one section. "These are neural implants. Every Confederation soldier has one. The Central Command uses them to ensure cooperation and obedience." "They're slaves," Choi said bluntly. "Or close to it. The implants can cause pain if orders are disobeyed. In some cases, they can even terminate a soldier who rebels." Lee stared at the screen, taking in this new information. "And the Shar Dominion?" "Based on what we're seeing here, the Shar aren't separate enemies at all," Dr. Kim said. "They're former Confederation members who found a way to remove the implants and escape control. They're freedom fighters," Choi added. "This changed everything. The war they had been drawn into was not what it seemed. The Confederation wasn't defending against aggressive enemies. They were trying to recapture those who had broken free from their control. If we can disrupt these control implants," Lee said slowly, thinking through the implications, "we might turn their forces against each other, or at least give their soldiers the freedom to choose not to fight." "Exactly," Dr. Kim agreed, "and I think we can do it. The implants operate on similar principles to their communication systems, which we've already learned to jam." Lee called an emergency meeting with Chairwoman Park, who now operated from a different hidden location for security. When she heard the news, she immediately grasped its importance. "This gives us a moral advantage as well as a tactical one," Park observed. "If we can prove to the galaxy that the Confederation forces people to fight for them, other species might ally with us." "We need to contact the Shar again," Lee suggested. "With this new information, we might be able to form a real alliance." If in answer to his words, an alert sounded throughout the complex. A ship had been detected entering Earth's atmosphere, using a signal pattern they hadn't seen before. "It's not Confederation," Choi confirmed after checking the readings. The design matches what we saw of the Shar vessel months ago." The ship was requesting communication on a secure channel. After taking precautions to ensure they couldn't be traced, Lee answered the call. The face that appeared on the screen was familiar from their brief encounter before, the three-eyed, armor-plated being who had warned them about the Confederation. "Humans of Earth," the alien said. "I am Captain Trowell of the Shar Dominion. We have been monitoring your resistance with great interest." "You've been watching us all this time?" Lee asked. "From a distance, yes. We could not risk direct involvement until we were certain." "Certain of what?" "That you were worth the risk of helping," Trowell replied honestly. "Few species have ever fought back so effectively against a Confederation invasion, especially with your level of technology." Dr. Kim stepped forward. "We've learned about the control implants, about what the Confederation really is." Trowell's three eyes blinked in sequence. "Then you understand our caution. The Confederation has deceived many worlds into joining their cause. We had to be sure you were not willing collaborators." "We never wanted any part in this war," Lee said firmly. "Yet you have fought with remarkable skill and determination," Trowell observed. "This is why we have decided to make direct contact again. We believe the time has come for a true alliance between our peoples." "What are you proposing?" Park asked from her separate video feed. "A meeting. In person. We have technology that can help your resistance. Methods to disable the control implants that we've developed over many years. But such things cannot be shared over communication channels that might be intercepted." Lee looked at Dr. Kim and Choi, then at Chairwoman Park's image. They had been fighting alone for months, making small gains through courage and ingenuity. But with Shar technology, they might have a real chance to turn the tide. "Where and when?" Lee asked. "We have identified a location beneath your oceans where Confederation sensors cannot penetrate effectively. We can meet there in 3 days." After the communication ended, Lee stared at the blank screen for a long moment. It could still be a trap, Choi pointed out. Yes, Lee agreed. But it's a risk we need to take. We can't win this war alone. Across Earth, the resistance continued. Ordinary people and soldiers alike fought against the Confederation forces, using whatever advantages they could find. They had survived the initial invasion. They had adapted to fight against superior technology. Now, with the prospect of Shar assistance, they had something even more powerful. They had hope. The abandoned mining facility beneath the Pacific Ocean had once been used to extract rare minerals from the seabed. Now, 3 kilometers below the surface, it served as the meeting place between humanity and the Shar Dominion. Commander Lee, June led a small team that included Dr. Kim Hana, Choi Dai, and a few trusted soldiers. They arrived in a submarine that had been modified to avoid Confederation detection. The facility's old pressure doors opened, revealing a large chamber that had been cleared of mining equipment. In the center stood 3 figures, Shar representatives. Unlike the insect-like appearance of most Confederation species, the Shar were almost humanoid, with forearms and skin that shimmered with different colors under the lights. Captain Traal stepped forward. Up close, Lee could see details he had missed in their video communications. Traal's skin had patterns that looked like writing, and what he had thought were armor plates were actually part of the alien's natural body. "Commander Lee," Traal said, his voice deeper in person than over the communication system. "Thank you for trusting us enough to come." "Trust is a luxury in wartime," Lee replied, "but we need allies." Traal gestured to the other 2 Shar. "This is Science Director Mev and Security Chief Dorn. They have brought the technology we promised." Dr. Kim stepped forward, eyeing the devices the aliens carried with professional interest. "How does it work?" Science Director Mev placed a small cube on the table between them. The cube projected a holographic image showing complex patterns of energy. "This disrupts the control signals sent to the implants," Mev explained. "It does not remove them, but it blocks the pain response and the ability of Confederation commanders to force obedience." Choi studied the projection carefully. "What's the range?" 5 of your kilometers initially," Mev replied. "But we can show you how to amplify it. With enough power, you could cover entire continents." The implications were enormous. If they could block the control implants across large areas, the Confederation forces might fall apart from within. "Why are you helping us?" Lee asked directly. "What do you gain from this?" Traal's expression changed to what might have been sadness. "We've been watching your resistance with great interest. No species has ever fought back so effectively against a Confederation invasion with your level of technology." "You still haven't answered my question," Lee pressed. Traal exchanged glances with the other Shar. "There is something you need to understand about why the Confederation is so determined to conquer Earth. You are not meant to be soldiers. You are meant to be the final weapon." The humans looked at each other in confusion. "What do you mean, weapon?" Dr. Kim asked. "The conflict between the Confederation and what you call the Shar Dominion has continued for millennia," Traal explained. "Neither side could gain a decisive advantage, but there are ancient records that speak of a world where evolution took a unique path." Security Chief Dorn continued. "The records describe beings with unparalleled adaptability and creativity in warfare. Beings who could take inferior technology and turn it against more advanced enemies. Beings who refused to surrender even when facing impossible odds." "Humans," Lee said, understanding dawning. "Yes," Traal confirmed. "They have been searching for Earth for thousands of years, not to recruit you as equals but to study and replicate your capacity for warfare." Dr. Kim's eyes widened. "They want to dissect us, to find what makes humans so adaptable and weaponize it." "Precisely," Traal said. "The Dominion broke free when we discovered this truth. We have been trying to reach potential target worlds before the Confederation, but we were too late for Earth. So you need our help as much as we need yours," Lee observed. "Yes," Traal admitted. "If the Confederation succeeds in extracting and weaponizing whatever makes humans unique, they will become unstoppable. All free species in the galaxy would eventually fall under their control." This was bigger than just defending Earth. The entire galaxy's freedom might depend on stopping the Confederation here and now. We have a plan, Lee said after a moment of thought. But we'll need your help to make it work. Over the next hours, they shared information and developed a strategy. The Shar provided technological knowledge while the humans contributed tactical ideas that the aliens would never have considered. 2 weeks later, the plan was ready. Using Shar stealth technology, Dr. Kim and her team had built devices that could broadcast the control-blocking signal across huge areas. Resistance fighters around the world prepared to distribute and activate them simultaneously. At the same time, Commander Lee led a strike team toward the Confederation command ship that orbited Earth. They traveled in a captured Confederation shuttle, modified with Shar technology to disguise their true identity until they were already aboard. Remember, Lee told his team as they approached the massive alien vessel, our goal is to reach the central control room and broadcast the truth to all Confederation forces. We don't need to defeat them in battle. We just need to break their unity. The shuttle docked without raising alarms. When the doors opened, Lee and his team moved quickly through the corridors, using the knowledge they had gained from captured Confederation data. They encountered guards but used Dr. Kim's pulse weapons to disable them without killing. They fought their way to the command center, suffering losses but pressing forward with determination. Finally, they reached the massive doors that led to the heart of the ship. Ready? Lee asked the remaining members of his team. They nodded, faces grim but resolved. The doors slid open, revealing High Chancellor Acrix surrounded by Confederation officers. The alien leader's translucent skin pulsed with angry colors. You have come far, human, Acrix hissed, but it will not save your world. We're not here to fight you, Lee said, keeping his weapon lowered. We're here to free your people. At that moment across Earth, resistance fighters activated the Shar devices. The signal spread around the globe and up into orbit, reaching every Confederation soldier and ship. On the command ship, the effect was immediate. Many of the alien officers suddenly stopped, their postures changing as the constant control they had lived under for years suddenly disappeared. What have you done? Acrix demanded, mandibles clicking in agitation. We've given them a choice, Lee said. Something you never did. Through the ship's communication system, Lee broadcast a message to all Confederation forces. He explained the truth about the control implants, about how different species had been forced to fight for centuries. He told them about the Shar and how they had broken free. And he invited any who wished to stop fighting to lay down their weapons. You could have been the greatest conquest in our history, Acrix said, rage and disbelief in his voice. Instead, you've destroyed the order of the galaxy. We've given it freedom, Lee corrected him. Something you forgot long ago. The response was beyond anything they had hoped for. Across Earth and in orbit, thousands of Confederation soldiers stopped fighting. Many turned against their commanders while others simply abandoned their posts. The invasion force that had seemed unstoppable began to collapse from within. Within weeks, the war was effectively over. The Confederation leadership retreated, taking loyal forces with them but leaving behind many who chose freedom over continued service. Earth had suffered greatly. Cities lay in ruins, millions had died, and it would take years to rebuild. But they had won, not through superior firepower or technology, but through understanding their enemy and offering freedom instead of destruction. In the aftermath, as reconstruction began, Chairwoman Park addressed a gathering of Earth leaders and representatives from both former Confederation worlds and the Shar Dominion. Earth refused to fight the galaxy's war, she said, her voice strong despite the hardships they had endured. And in doing so, we may have finally ended it. Our place among the stars will not be as weapons or warriors, but as the architects of a new peace. Commander Lee, Dr. Kim, and Choi Dae stood among the delegates, watching as former enemies engaged in peaceful dialogue for perhaps the first time in millennia. Earth had refused to fight the galaxy's war. Instead, they had fought their own, and, in victory, found something greater than conquest, liberation for all. The end.